Hello and welcome to the show. To start this week's Downhill Chaos episode, I've got a rally car, the Fiat 131 Abarth. Much fire can be spat out of the exhaust of this vehicle. Let's face it, well, yes, it is a very, very bumpy course. Still, a rally car should be relatively at home on this sort of terrain. Unfortunately, things went a little bit wrong on this very opening run. I clipped the bumper at a little bit of an angle and ended up in the barriers, and well, that'll kill all of your momentum. As I get a bit of a wiggle on coming across the large bump there, I stick a wheel over the edge of the course. Time and time again, we have seen cars have offs at that section of track. You just can't get away with it. The car will fight you, and I did my best to keep it on the course. Couldn't get it stopped in time. Also, running wide into that particular section is not a good idea. I managed to just about pull the car up in time, but yeah, lost a little bit of time, still sliding it around the next corner, and then as we run down this hill, I get another big slide. It's a little bit more oversteery than I was expecting it at this point. Yeah, I got into a little bit of bother down there. Now, this section of track, I've set a few offs, never quite had a car go on two wheels in that manner, and while I get the landing of that jump perfectly well, the problem is I am too far to the left. I can't recover the car in time, so it ends up running across a rock that works as a perfect split ramp, and the Fiat goes for a tumble down the side of the mountain, losing some, bodywork in the process. Quite a big roll. Now, I did have perhaps one of the oddest accidents, or experiences more than accidents, in this one. The police were coming up chiliad. I'm not sure why, because they weren't after me until the car didn't have the sirens on until after I'd gone past and kind of crashed into the side of it because I was trying to complete the run. So I have no idea quite why the police were getting involved, but they made a nuisance of themselves at one point. Again, I was a little too far to the right on the jump and ended up off the course. Coming towards the end of the run, the Fiat actually wasn't too bad for driving through the bushes, which is always nice. You get away there with no trouble. However, the kind of snappy oversteer as we come out of the second corner did cause a bit of problem. We have seen cars spin around at that section before. It's, just a little bit unfortunate for some of these vehicles. Had to be very, very careful. Equally, had to be careful with bouncing the front off of the ground. Again, there was just something about this car and the opening section. I'm not really quite sure what it was, but something, the car just wasn't particularly happy getting through this first section. And I can't for the life of me figure out quite why it felt awkward, but yeah, this bit here was all about trying to be careful. It is a very, very narrow part of the course, and we've seen many an issue down this area. The Fiat, it wasn't that it was a bad car as such. Yeah, it was a little bit oversteery in places, but something felt uncomfortable about that section. Once you got past there, though, the Fiat was great fun to throw around these corners up towards the hairpin. Had no real problems through here, even if I am playing it very risky. It was, a few centimetres away from disaster this time around. And on this next turn, got to be careful. Big bumps, mid-corner, can spit cars sideways. And having had the vehicle go round on me out of the second to last corner, I was, definitely determined to be a bit more careful around there. And had to be aware of the front of the car just catching on the floor. So I was trying to make sure we could get it nice and level on these landings again for the biggest jump of the lot. The car does land very, very nicely, and as I said, you could get away with throwing it down this side bit. Didn't really have to worry too much about the bushes, but you did have to worry big time about the bumps around the second to last corner. This time, much smoother as we head towards the line, and it is a flight for the Fiat. Unfortunately, a little too much speed for me to really be able to do much about the landing. It was heading straight, just completely straight towards the tree. Normally the car sort of ping off, but no, that was just a dead whack on the tree. Yeah, a nice fun car to drive down chiliad, as you would kind of expect, really, from the vehicle. Just the first section was something was a little bit off and quite twitchy and oversteery. Up next, we have got a Renault Sport RS, an interesting racing vehicle. Not the sort of car that you would expect to be seen going down the side of a mountain. Unfortunately, doesn't spit fire either. The hikers were, well, being a pain, as they always are, stopping directly in front of me, almost instantly get karmaed straight off the side of the mountain as well, having bounced into them. The thing that immediately struck me about this car is how incredibly powerful the brakes are. It is a very, very quick accelerating car, as well as it launches its way down this very, very short straight, but it is the braking performance on this that is most impressive. Things do go wrong though on this opening run. I was accelerating very, very quickly, caught a bump a bit wrong, and at the speeds that this thing is going, you catch a bump a bit wrong and you tend to go flying off of the course. As soon as it's back on its wheels though, you're on the brakes and it just stops almost instantly. They are incredible brakes on the car. Next time out, almost getting into trouble running a bit wide, do manage to keep it. There's also huge amounts of grip for taking the corners. It wasn't the corners that caused problems, it was the landing of the jump. Just catches the front of the car and spins it around, which is less than ideal. Even getting a little bit out of shape, still have the grip to get away with it. The bushes, not so kind to the Renault. I fly across the top of one, it just kind of grabs the underside of the car and tips it sideways. I've seen that happen before with a few cars as well, so yeah, this one was definitely a vehicle you had to be careful of the bushes. More high speed, a small bump leads to some big accidents for the car. Again, it just gets twisted, and while there is a tremendous amount of grip at the speeds this thing can achieve, yeah, it tends not to go particularly well. Again, another big twitch off of a bump, and this time Michael getting flung clear of the car. I think certainly this is the first incident we've seen Michael get flung out of a vehicle for quite some time. We've fallen off motorbikes, out of actual cars, I'm not sure. I could hear the crashing and went to go see where the Renault would end up. It tumbled a fair way down the mountain, but did actually come to a stop. Yeah, not very often that get flung out of the vehicle. However, the speeds that this thing hit the rocks at, yeah, Michael went soaring. Again, carrying so much speed with the car, trying to get it under control. But even when we're soaring off the mountainside at great speeds, as soon as it's on the ground, you can get on the brakes and the Renault will get stopped. It was actually, in some respects, I was finding myself slowing the car down too much for the corner. Certainly on some of the practice runs, I was almost bringing the car to a complete stop because I just wasn't expecting the braking performance that you get from this. So that took a little bit of getting used to, along with the tremendous levels of acceleration. And when you're going that fast down this course, the tiniest of bumps can cause massive issues. And this car is not really designed for rallying, let's face it. It is very much a road-going race car, and yeah, it gets quite heavily affected by these bumps. But when you're not having issues of the car flying through the air, you can take tremendous speed, and that's almost 50 miles an hour through that corner. Very, very few cars are able to carry that level of speed, and the bumps weren't so much causing oversteer, which was nice to have. The car had more than enough grip and downforce, etc. It was the bumps launching the car up into the air that was the big problem. Even on this landing, things are barely controllable, but still you could get away with it. You had enough time to react and get the Renault slowed down. Still, we fight the car up towards the second to last corner. Little bit of oversteer across the largest of bumps. It is flat out around the final turn. The run towards the line is 91 miles an hour as we cross the line with the Renault. Somehow managed to thread it between some trees and again come to a halt. 91 miles an hour on this course is bloody impressive. Even the Formula 1 cars struggle to get much more than that because the course is so twisty. There is very little in the way of straights. That's just the run from the, well, I say from the final corner, it's kind of flat out through that corner. Yeah, it's damn quick. Is this Renault a incredible vehicle to go driving? So up next, our final car of the day had a lot to live up to. An Audi DTM car, a very race car-y episode. This one, I do love I love the craziness of the DTM cars these days with all of the aero parts around the back of it. This one here will Spitfire, the Renault being the only vehicle today that wouldn't Spitfire. Plenty of aero silliness on the back of the DTM car. Immediately, though, this one, it struck me the brakes weren't as good. They were still very good on here, as you would expect. They just weren't quite as good as the Renault. And to be fair, outside of the Formula 1 cars, I don't think I've ever driven anything with brakes quite as powerful as that Renault. It was absolutely incredible. For the Audi, I was still in, a little bit in the wrong mode. I was still thinking I could brake as late as I could with the Renault, and you just can't get away with it in this car. So overran it into a corner a bit, and you're going to end up, many cars have gone off the mountain at that point. The hikers go absolutely flying, though. If that section there where you kind of half jump over the hikers, if you jump over them with the Audi, they go absolutely berserk and soar off the mountain. But I instantly get calmed, as I couldn't get it slowed for the next part of the course, and then we go tumbling down the mountain. Again, though, the car will get stopped pretty quickly once it's started tumbling around. Still a good fun car to drive. This one, perhaps not quite the grip that got from the Renault. I got a bit of a twitch coming out of the hairpin, and like the angle I was at, I thought, I'll stay to the right-hand side of this section, and that's not a good thing to do. The acceleration is still fast enough that get big airtime and then get fired off the course. More bumping and slight out braking myself, we end up in trouble. Probably one of the most common places that actually to have cars. You just brake a tad too late, and then you can't get stopped. You end up running along the walls. You're on two wheels, and then you're never going to make the next corner and go soaring off or just stop in general. Didn't take too long though to get a clean run out of this vehicle. After all, very similar characteristics to the Renault. The difference is being that the DTM didn't have quite the brakes or the actual cornering grip around here, as we get a big two-wheeled moment from the car, a big jump. It was a very good car to kind of chuck about, and again, despite being a vehicle very much not designed to be dealing with this sort of terrain, it didn't have massive problems with the mountain. To be fair, the Fiat at times could have bigger kind of twitchier oversteery moments down here. Amusingly, the one rally car out of this lot could have some twitchy oversteery moments. Yeah, you didn't really get that with this this DTM car. Again, making sure to get the jumps nicely. I was worried about the front of this car catching on the floor, but it never did at any point during the run. There's not quite the acceleration either with this that you got from the mighty Renault. It's still very, very fun. Don't get me wrong, there's still very quick accelerating, great grip and so on from this car. It's just not quite up there with that mighty Sport RS. As we come around the second to last corner again, the bumps proving no problem for the Audi. Ran a little bit wide through the final turn and just not quite got the acceleration across the line. Tried to launch it up the same line that I'd taken with the Renault. Didn't quite work as well with this car. I was having some more problems getting it turned around. It didn't quite like the sort of handbrake turn and the sort of the 180 handbrake turn to try and get it back up the top of the course that some of the other cars, and we have seen that from a few vehicles actually, they tend not to be particularly happy with doing these handbrake turns, and then I hadn't quite realised just how dodgy it was until that particular manoeuvre didn't go to plan. So the DTM made it down the course though. On to the times, and the Renault, unsurprisingly, it's 1:17.7. We'll put it into 7th place. It is 0.2 of a second down on the Bugatti. It is only 0.6 of a second down on the Renault F1 car. That Sport RS is a phenomenal vehicle. It's great fun driving it down. It's great fun driving it on general roads as well, because there is incredible grip, incredible brakes, etc. The Audi DTM, still a very, very quick time in 16th place at 1:21.4. It is just a little bit down on the Lamborghini Egoista and the Pagani Hawara, but still a fast car. Still certainly a quick vehicle down this course. Same time as a Scarabee, and it does beat the Brawler, Insurgent, etc. So a solid vehicle. Also, surprisingly, normally cars with kind of silly aero bits get in trouble with the bushes, but didn't have any massive problems with the Audi. The Fiat's time, 1:27.0, still a pretty good time on this leaderboard. It's up there with the Sabre Turbo, the Lotus 49, the Banshee, Renault Megane Trophy. It didn't feel like it was that quick at points, but I mean the descent time proves it's quicker than the Blackfin Dubster, the Renault 11 that was surprisingly good as well. So the Fiat was a pretty solid vehicle. All of these race cars slash rally cars did pretty well down the course. I'd highly recommend the Renault. It's a great fun car to drive, but I would, as ever, recommend all of these mods, and if you want to have a go with them, then there shall be links in the description, so you can download them, play around with them. But that is it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.